Hey, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy Tropical NHL back at it again for a brand new YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about the Montreal Canadiens. We're going to be talking about some trade rumors. Well, not really trade rumors, but it's more like trade talk. You know, the draft is coming. Summer is coming really fast. We're going to have free agency and there's probably going to be a lot of movements in the NHL. I mean, it already started with the Blue Jackets trying to do I don't know what, because in my opinion, they're just trying to fix huge holes with band-aids, and it's not really a good thing in my opinion. They're trying to get out the rebuild too quickly, but I mean, at least they're trying something, and we're going to see more and more trades like that happening. I mean, Carter Hart is apparently on the market, and there's a lot of players that are going to get traded. I mean, Pierre-Luc Dubois, all of that is going to be really fun to follow, and I'm practically 100% confident that Kent Hughes is gonna make a couple of them. A couple of trades are going to be happening this summer, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, we've talked earlier about the Columbus Blue Jackets, and yeah, some people saw a possible trade happening between the Montreal Canadiens and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Trade that could happen on draft night in Nashville between Columbus and Montreal. A Kirby Dach type of trade, just like Montreal did last year for Kirby Dach at the draft, but for another young NHL player that has a lot of potential. You know it, the Blue Jackets have acquired Ivan Provorov over the last couple of days, and they also signed Damon Severson in a sign and trade deal with the New Jersey Devils. So they stacked up some defensemen, and they have a lot of young defensemen as well. So they could be interested into trading one of those young defensemen. And you know what? The Montreal Canadiens have been linked to David Reinbacher at the draft. There's a possibility that the Habs could take a chance on David Reinbacher, who is a right-handed defenseman at the NHL draft. But a lot of people saw a pretty good fit with a young defenseman, a young right-handed defenseman with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Former first-round pick, former 8th overall pick actually, of the Chicago Blackhawks in the 2018 NHL entry draft. Yes, of course, you guys guessed it. I'm talking about Adam Boqvist. Before getting into the details of that trade idea, I invite you guys to subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 4K subscribers before the draft. I'm going to be doing a huge live stream on draft day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We're going to look at everything going on, all the rumors, all the trade that's going to happen. We're going to be doing everything together on that day. So if you don't want to miss that out, I strongly suggest you to subscribe and turn on post notifications, as well as the like button. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video. And if you want to join the Tropical NHL Discord, the link is in the description. So yeah, Adam Boqvist of the Columbus Blue Jackets. A lot of people saw in him a really good defenseman, a first pairing defenseman, like an elite defenseman in his draft year. There were a lot of expectations coming out of him. And you know what? The Chicago Blackhawks in those years were kind of struggling into developing prospects. They were rushing them too quickly in the NHL. And it turned out bad for a couple of them. I mean, it turned out bad for Kirby Dach. He ended up getting traded. Same thing happened with Boqvist. I mean, he got Seth Jones in exchange. And he's been playing with the Blue Jackets over the last 2 years. And he did pretty all right, in my opinion. I mean, it feels like he's been in the NHL for a decade, but that's just because he made the jump at 18 years old. After playing 1 season in the OHL with the London Knights, he made the jump right away with the Chicago Blackhawks, where he got 13 points in 41 games in his rookie season. He then played a second year with the Chicago Blackhawks, where he got 16 points in 35 games. He after got traded in the Seth Jones trade when the Chicago Blackhawks acquired him from the Blue Jackets. And this year with the Blue Jackets, in 46 games, he got 5 goals, 19 assists for 24 points. Considering the fact that the Blue Jackets were one of the worst teams, if not the worst teams of the NHL for practically the entire season, those are pretty decent statistics. I mean, he has a pretty good size as well. I mean, he's 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's fast. He moves the puck really well. He has a good vision, so I could definitely see a right fit of him with the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, the Habs are stacked up on prospect on the left-handed side, but they don't have as much of them on the right-handed side. And Adam Boqvist is a right-handed defenseman. So instead of taking a guess on David Reinbacher, at the 5th overall, which would be kind of dumb in my opinion because he's expected to go between 8 and 15. You'd be wasting a chance on a really, really good offensive player in this really, really good offensive draft by drafting a guy that you have no guarantees he will even be good at the NHL level. I mean, there's a comparison between Reinbacher and Moritz Seider, but I don't really see it. I think it's a bit too forced. Like, those are not similar players at all, in my opinion. Personally, if I was the Habs, I would definitely not take a chance on Reinbacher. I would draft an offensive talent like a Matvei Mishkov, a Ryan Leonard, a Will Smith, depending on who's going to be available. And I would try to make a trade happen for a guy like Adam Boqvist, for example. It's easier to pay up and find a defenseman like that on the trade market than it is to find an offensive talent on the trade market. When teams have offensive talents in their teams, they're keeping them. They're not putting them on the trade market. So yes, there were tons of articles coming out saying that the Habs could make a trade happen with the Blue Jackets, a Kirby Dach type of trade with the Blue Jackets trying to acquire Adam Boqvist, and I think he would be a pretty decent fit. I mean, playing on the first pairing with the Habs next year, I think he would be getting a lot of points. He would probably make the jump from 24 or 25 points to maybe 40. And I think that Adam Boqvist at 22 years old still has time to reach his ceiling that he was drafted for in 2018. The guy has a ton of potential, a ton of talent, and he is going to be a great player if he's used properly. Because look at this tweet from Frank Saravelli. Peer into the future for CBJ's top 4. Werenski, Severson, Provorov, Jiricek among the class defense corps of the NHL now with Gabranson, Peak, and Boqvist rounding out the group. When you look at it this way, there's no room on the top 4 for a guy like Adam Boqvist, and it's kind of crazy. And with guys like Gabranson and Peak, they don't have that much room for a guy like Adam Boqvist with the new acquisition they made. I mean, Jiricek could definitely find himself a spot as soon as next season in the lineup. He was an absolute monster playing in the AHL this year. They signed up Severson for 8 years, so he's definitely going to be playing on the top 4. As for Werenski and Provorov, they're left-handed defensemen. So before the trades, we would have expected Boqvist to get some decent ice time on the top 4, but now it's really, really unlikely with the acquisition they made. So that's where all the trade rumors started for the Montreal Canadiens to make a Kirby Dach-like trade happen with Adam Boqvist. And honestly, I would be really, really down for it. Adam Boqvist would have an impact immediately in the Habs lineup, and he would be probably the defenseman of the future on the right side of defense. And I would rather 100% see the Habs take a chance on an offensive guy instead of taking Reinbacher and making a trade happen for Adam Boqvist. I definitely do think that with the moves they made, the Columbus Blue Jackets are really, really likely to try and trade Adam Boqvist maybe for an offensive player, maybe for some draft picks. I have no idea. Here we have Alex from Habs Coverage, really, really popular on Twitter with the mock trade. The Habs go receive Adam Boqvist, and the Columbus Blue Jackets receive first round pick from the Panthers and Philip Machar. Then goes by saying Machar has no room, in my opinion, moving forward in the Habs plan. I have no issues about this trade offer from the Habs perspective. Boqvist is a sure NHL D-man. And I tend to agree with him. I mean, Boqvist would have an impact right away with the Montreal Canadiens. The Montreal Canadiens have a ton of prospects like Philip Machar, so getting rid of one of them wouldn't be too much of a big deal, in my opinion. Doesn't have to be Machar, it could be Kidney, it could be Farrell, any of those guys. But the Montreal Canadiens have too much of those bottom 6 potential prospects, and it wouldn't be too big of a deal getting rid of one of them for an excellent defensive prospect like Adam Boqvist. And like I said, I really doubt that the Canadiens are going to be drafting with the Florida Panthers pick. They're either going to be trading it to get higher in the rankings of the draft, or they're going to be trading it for a trade like that in a Kirby Dach type of move, just like they did last year at the NHL entry draft. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. It's been your boy Tropical NHL. Subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, join the Discord. Link is in the description down below, and I'll see y'all later for another video. Have a nice rest of your day, and bye-bye.